because you have never heard of cloth menstrual pads, or you've heard of them but you're not ready to make the switch. So I want to convince you to make the switch. So I'm going to go through a series of questions. I have a list of frequently asked questions on my Facebook page, my business page, but I am getting rid of that page. He wants to talk to you. I'm getting rid of that page, and so I would like to, I'm turning it into a video. That way I can just include one link, and it eliminates a lot of the reading that people have to do when they're educating themselves. So, question number one, what are cloth pads? Well, if you've never heard of them, they are reusable cloth menstrual pads. So, yes, in fact, you do wash them, and they come in all different sizes, shapes, materials, designs, fabric toppers. There's a huge community of work-at-home moms that make cloth menstrual pads, and there's a big community of people who all participate in buying and selling and trading, and I know if you've never heard of it before, you're like, what? Yeah, it's pretty big. A lot of women are really making the switch to these cloth menstrual pads. So they typically, they're going to have a cotton, either flannel, woven, knit material top that's soft against the skin. There's OBV, minky, there's many different types of toppers. They'll have a top, pretty fabric, and then there's a core, which is the absorbent part that's going to absorb the blood, and that's made up of anything that will absorb, basically. And then the backer is a water resistant, waterproof, or that sort of material that's going to keep it from going onto your underwear. So that is what a cloth menstrual pad is. Now on to the other questions. What do I do if I'm at work and I need to change my pad? So that's a big concern, because if you're out and about, and you have a item that you've spent good money on, well, you're going to have to take it home and wash it. So what you do is you can purchase a wet bag. Oh, I thought I was going to bring one of those to show you. One second. Wet bags come in all different sizes. This is like a personal size. It's a PUL lined bag. And if you've cloth diapered, then you know what PUL is. It's what is on cloth diapers. But it's a polyurethane laminate material that is waterproof. And it comes in many different prints as well. It's always about the prints. It's fun. And so there's all different kinds of sizes. But basically anything that's got the PUL in it is going to keep it waterproof. You don't necessarily need that unless your cloth pad is like soaking wet and dripping, like if you're rinsing it on the spot. Otherwise you don't need the PUL. So you would take that bag with you in your purse, and then when you go into your restroom, either when you're out and about or if you're at work, go into the restroom, change, take the pad off. What I do is I fold it in half, the part that I've bled on. I may even roll it. That way you're not touching anything. You just put it in your wet bag and then take it home with you. So the second question is kind of connected to that one. Do they smell when you carry them around in your wet bag with you? Well, I believe that this is a personal question. Every woman is going to have a different experience. But all of my friends that I have, as well as people... Sorry, the video cut off. So all of my friends that I've talked to, as well as women that I've talked to over the years, have never actually complained about a smell. But if you were to notice an odor when the wet bag is in your purse, you can add essential oils that are fragrances. You can add them to the outside of the wet bag, and one drop goes a long way, and it'll keep it smelling very nice, and you won't notice that anymore. So the next question, do they shift, bunch up, or slide when you walk? Well, this is all going to depend on the style of pad that you're wearing, and your underwear that you're wearing has a lot to do with it. So if you notice that a pad is bunching or sliding up and down, as you know, then it could be because it's backed in PUL. So avoid PUL backed pads if you're having that problem. Or your underwear is not tight enough, so you need something that's going to hold the pad against you. I'm not saying tight, I just mean like not so loose. And then a little bit of sliding is going to be normal no matter what, because if you're very active, then a little bit is going to be normal. But it's really easy to adjust back into place, and I wouldn't say that is a major deterrent for switching to cloth pads. And then, so the next question is, do I just wash them with my other laundry? Well, yes, you could do that. I do not do that, but I do know women that do that. They just wash with their cloth diapers, or they wash with their regular laundry. I don't do that because ever since I started, I don't really like the idea of the blood getting on any of my other clothing, because blood does stain, even though I know that if you're washing in cold, that's not probably going to happen. I just don't want to. So I wash separately, and the main thing to remember is never to use bleach or fabric softener. Always soak pads in cold water, dry on low heat, or hang dry. Hot water will result in stains setting, and hot water could also cause shrinkage. Not a common problem, but if you have purchased from a shop that did not pre-shrink their materials before sewing, then if you wash in hot water, then you're going to experience more shrinkage, a lot of shrinkage, especially if they didn't pre-shrink their materials. So, like I said, not a common problem, but it could happen. So that's the benefit of washing in a cold or a room temperature. Next question, do they get stains? You will need to find the best wash routine, a wash routine that works best for you. But I have found that when I use OxiClean, I do not have stains. Stains are more evident on cotton materials, such as cotton woven, knit, flannel, and less likely on minky or peak material. But even so, with the materials, I've never had a problem while using OxiClean. I also use peroxide, and lately I've tried a stain stick, which looks like this. You can get these at Walmart for $1 for a bar this big. And also you can get at Walmart a bottle of peroxide that looks like this with a spray bottle. So that comes in handy. And it has a nice trigger shooter on it, so it actually sprays pretty. I'm so sorry. So those are two really nice things that you can find at Walmart. If you're international, then you will probably have different brands of items that are stain sticks and things like that. And I don't know what you have in your country. So if you're really, really worried about stains, then you could just purchase only dark colored pads. So this is the part where I tell you my wash routine. I place dirty pads in a small pail, this pail, and it sits by my toilet, and it does have a lid, but I don't use the lid because I don't have a man here. But if you have men that are like weird about seeing your pads, then just put a lid on it. A lid that's not going to make it to lack of airflow. Okay, so I put them in the pail. At the end of my cycle, I fill the pail full of cold water, and I soak them in the cold water, and then I dissolve a scoop of OxiClean in hot water, a scoop in hot water to dissolve it, and then I add it to cold water. Now, somebody on the YouTube channel said that they've never had a problem with OxiClean not dissolving in cold water. And that's great for them, but as stated on the package itself, this is probably not going to focus, but we'll try. It says right here. Not gonna focus. I'll read it to you. It says, if washing in cold water, first dissolve in 16 ounces of hot water and then add to cold water. And that is because it does not dissolve. It gets these like powdery flakes, and it's just better if you dissolve it first. So and you don't, yeah. And then so you add it to your cold water, and then make sure your water's still cold for soaking. And then dry on low heat or hang dry. No, I skipped a step. I let the pads sit for a few hours in here while they're soaking in the OxiClean. Then I dump the water out into the toilet and I flush it down, and then I do another rinse the exact same way. And then I also have used my bathtub to do soaking, and then, you know, just pull the plug and let it wash down. But you can do it however your living situation allows you to do so. You can dump it into the toilet, and then take the pads out, wring them. You can, if you don't want to touch them, like that was my way of doing it before. Like now I do it in the bathtub because I don't care if I touch them. But before, when I didn't like touching them, I would just fill the pail up with cold water, dump the dirty water out into the toilet, flush, do a second rinse, dump it out, and then with the existing wet soaking pads, I would just take this and dump it into the washing machine. And I never touched the pads. Never did blood touch me because I just would dump it into the toilet. So that was the way I did it before. Now I don't care if I touch pads. So I take them out of the bathtub and I wring them out, and then I put them back in the pail, and then I take them over to the washer. And then I wash, I use regular Tide and then a scoop of OxiClean into the washer, dissolved OxiClean. And I wash on room temperature, tap cold with a low spin cycle. Then I dry on low heat. I don't mind using the dryer, but if you want your pads to last longer, then do a hang drying method. So, question number 8. I bought some pads, and when I washed them, they look a little different. Well, if you have purchased flannel topped pads, then they are going to get a little peely. That is normal. That is the nature of flannel. Sometimes that's why flannel pads are a little bit cheaper. If you've purchased a knit pad and you notice that it is faded a bit, that's also the nature of some knits. It's not going to happen the first time you wash it, but after long wears and tears, you can see some fading. And all right, anything I need to do when I receive them, or are they ready to be worn? Well, when you receive a pad, you receive the package in the mail, you need to pre-wash that pad, because for several reasons. The maker of the pad might have had dogs or cats or any sort of other allergens that you may have, and they may have pre-washed their fabrics in a detergent that you may be allergic to, so you're going to need to wash those things out. They also might have used basting spray or other things that have aided them in making the construction of the pad. So you just need to do a pre-wash. Not only is that going to help get rid of anything that's going to make you have an allergic reaction. Not that you would have an allergic reaction, I'm just saying they are made in other people's homes, and their homes may have animals or whatnot. So that's going to get rid of that, but it's also going to help make, especially pads that are cotton woven, they're going to become more absorbent once you've washed them a few times. So prep your pads when you get them. Now, 1 second. So the next question is, how many pads do I need? Well, this is going to be a personal question. So for me personally, I use about 20 pads per cycle. So to get this answer, if you've never used cloth pads, then think about how many disposables you use in one day, and then maybe add a couple to that number. So however many disposables you use in one day times the amount of days that you have your period, and then go from there. It also comes down to how often are you willing to do laundry. I personally like to have enough pads to get me through my whole cycle, because I don't want to do laundry in the middle of the cycle. That's just me. So, do cloth pads work just as well as disposables? Well, I think disposables can be thinner and absorb more sometimes. It really just depends on the cloth pad. Because if you have a pad that is made with, let's say, Zorb, it's very absorbent, and then it's backed with a PUL or a WinPro fleece, it's pretty much very, very absorbent and waterproof. So the disadvantage of PUL is that it slips and slides, but it is waterproof. And then WinPro, it has a grip fleece side which grips so it doesn't slip as much. But WinPro, you can bleed through WinPro. A lot of people say you can't. You can bleed through WinPro. In fact, I probably bleed through every pad that I have WinPro. Not like through onto my underwear. There's leaks everywhere, but like if I take it off and I went like this, my hands would have blood on them. But I've never had a pad, never ever ever have I had a pad leak and it goes through onto my underwear. So WinPro is pretty reliable, very, very reliable. So yes, with the right materials, the right absorbency, yes, they're going to work just as well as disposables. How do I know what absorbency and length I need? Well, to figure this out, you need to first figure out what kind of bleeder you are. Right, what? Are you a front bleeder? Are you a center bleeder? Are you a center to back bleeder? Or are you a back bleeder? Or are you a front to center bleeder? I know, right? Crazy. So figure out what kind of bleeder you are. If you remember this, with your disposable pad, it does not have, some of them don't have wings, some of them just have like a sticky strip in the middle, and you're able to stick that pad wherever you want on your underwear. With cloth, you're not able to do that. The snap is going to go around the middle of your underwear, and you can only pull that up so far before your underwear starts to flare. So you need to know what kind of bleeder you are, because if you're a front bleeder, and that is where from where that's snapped, all of the blood goes forward. Then if you're a front bleeder, then something like this, where it has a short width from the snap to the top, would probably not work for you. This pad, this is going to work for a center bleeder, or you could turn it and it would work better for a front bleeder. But it's going to be more for a center to back bleeder. This pad would work for what I call a murder scene bleeder. That's somebody who bleeds all over the place, because this thing is 14 inches long and it's going to catch everything. And then something like this is a front bleeder, where everything goes up front and nothing in the back, but is still absorbent in the middle in case you do have some in the middle. But there are many different kinds of front bleeders. This one has nothing in the back, and this is what I prefer. I am a front bleeder, and everything goes forward or right here. Well, not really. It actually all goes up here. But there is some assurance that if it were to go down here, that there's coverage. So figure out what kind of bleeder you are. That'll help you decide what length you need. Typically, if you're going with a 10.5, 11 inch or longer, you're going to be covered for sure. But over time, when you're developing your stash, you're going to need to figure out what works best for you. Once you got that, then just stick with those. Another cool thing about cloth pads is that, even though it sounds really strange, there's a cloth buy sale trade page, and there are women who will buy your used pads. I know you're probably thinking, what? Because I personally don't buy used pads, but there are people that really love to take advantage of that, because they're able to try, they know how to clean and strip and bleach and whatever to get rid of everything that could possibly be in that used pad. And to them, they don't care. They are willing to use that. So what's great, what I'm saying is, if you spend money on cloth pads, you can get some of your money back, just like cloth diapers. So they kind of hold their value. Side note, I don't encourage anybody to buy cloth pads and then try to get more than what they paid or whatever. That's a person, you know, that's just me. I hate when people do that. But that's whatever. You do what you want to do. So that is how you figure out how many you need or whatever. Also, you can measure the crotch, the gusset of your underwear, the middle of your underwear. You can measure that. It's typically somewhere around 2 to 3 inches wide. And based upon that, you decide what snapped width you want your pads to be. Snapped width is going to be, when you snap the pad, it's going to be this right here. That would be what the snapped width is. And you can ask any maker you're trying to purchase from what the snapped width is. Some makers call it a gusset, and some call it snapped width. So just ask. And then what absorbency to choose? Well, if you soak through a regular disposable pad within an hour, then you're going to need to order heavy pads. If your flow is steady and heavy, you still need to order heavy pads. If your flow is moderate and you really never really soak through a disposable, like on a regular basis, then you're fine to go with moderate or regular flow pads. If you're only spotting or using tampons, cups, or things like that, you can go with light or liners. If you're gushing in the same spot over and over again, you might want to go with a heavy, just because even though you're not using the rest of your pad, you're still gushing in the same exact spot. Heavy might be best for you. So you're really worried about leaks. What should you order? Well, like I've already said, PUL is waterproof and WinPro is water resistant, but it's pretty much waterproof. But it's not. We can't say that it's waterproof because you will not find a fleece out there that is waterproof, but highly water resistant and pretty much waterproof. So just pick those options. If you're really worried about leaking, then just choose PUL or WinPro. And if you have questions regarding using cloth pads for postpartum use, I'm going to link that description in the box below. And so now that you've heard everything, what is stopping you from making the switch? Is it you don't like the idea of touching blood? That's icky, ew. Well, there's a solution to that. Wear gloves. Wear like the kind of dish gloves that go all the way up, you know, whatever. Wear gloves. It's fine, you know. Don't worry about that part. Or do the cleaning method like I did, because I didn't like touching blood either. And that's what I did. So that solves that problem. Think about what you're missing out if you know, the way the pros and cons, you know, there's so many cute fabrics. You already saw this one. This is Dracula's tea bag, okay? This is so funny. These are tampons. I mean, where are you going to find these prints? There's, of course, the Toothless, the Rocket Kitty, there's Alice in Wonderland, and then not only that, there's tons of shops that have novelty shapes. This one is a manatee. Here we have an ice cream scoop sundae. I know, right? What? These fold. There's always wings that keep the pad in place. These are the wings. Here's a teddy bear. He's got wings too that holds your pad in place. And then we have a mermaid. So it's just fun. It's just for fun. And you're missing out if you're not switching. So you say you only wear tampons, and that's why you don't want to switch to cloth pads. Well, I'm going to link that video as well. The sponges, cloth tampons, crochet tampons, I'm going to link that below where I talk about how to use them and things like that. But basically, there are other options for people who are used to wearing... One second. Basically, there are options for people who use tampons and would like to switch to something that's not pads. They don't like the diaper feel. Not that... Cloth pads kind of eliminate that whole diaper feel thing. But anyway, this is what's called a menstrual cup. And this is something that is inserted like a tampon. And it sits in the vagina and it catches blood. And then you rinse it out. They come in all different shapes. And you're like, how do you get that in? Well, you would do there's different folds that people do to get them in, and it's not as bad as you think, believe me. Just open your mind to the possibilities here. So there's things like menstrual cups. Then there are also sea sponges. Just watch the video. And because you're like, how do I use these? Well, the video will show you. There's cloth tampons, and then there's crocheted tampons. So there are, if you're wanting to switch to reusables, there are options if you are used to using tampons. And then, okay, so the third obstacle, why are you not switching? Price. Well, that's a good one because cloth pads can be pretty pricey. So a lot of women hear about cloth pads when they hear about cloth diapers. And so they may be pregnant and they're going to cloth diaper their baby. And so they say, why not use cloth pads too? So I've had a lot of people who make the switch during pregnancy. If that's the case, then you have several months before you're expecting your baby. I encourage you to buy 1 or 2 pads a month to cut down on the cost. That way you're building your stash gradually. And if that's still not an option for you, if you own a sewing machine, you can make your own based upon towels that you have, old t-shirts. There's so many ways to make your own using the supplies you already have. So I encourage you to check out Facebook because there's groups that will give you resources to know how to do that. And then number 4, the fourth obstacle, you just don't know where to buy cloth pads. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are many shops to buy from, and you can check out my channel here. I do reviews. There are reviews and fluff mail videos. That's where I get it in the mail and I open it up. You might think this is a weird concept, but a lot of women like seeing that. I know I do. I like watching fluff mail videos. It's like getting a surprise, only it's not yours, but you just like watching it. I don't know why. I'll never understand why I like it, but I do. So check out the videos, and you'll find shops that I personally recommend for you to, the reviews that I do. Check out the reviews, and then you'll know that, because every review has a link in the description where you can find a link where to purchase. Also, if you're wanting to purchase from my shop, which is Leak Freak, and that's also the name of this channel, if you're wanting to purchase from me, there is a bit of a waiting list or high demand, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it's kind of hard to get them from me, especially if you want them right away. I suggest just keep an eye on my Facebook group, which is also linked in the description, and just look out. I post randomly. I post custom order giveaways where I take on, because I can only take on so much. There's so many people wanting pads, so I'll give custom orders. I do actual giveaways, and then I do ready to ship stockings, and then they sell out within minutes. So you really have to set an alarm, and you got to be on time to get in there, and you comment and you reserve. If you just go through the group and look, you'll see how other people do it, and then you'll know how to do it yourself. So that's all I have for you guys. I really hope that this video has helped you to make the decision to switch to reusables, whether it be cloth pads or other reusable menstrual items. And I also hope that you like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.